Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. So happy to have you guys here. My name is Tierney, and I'm the founder of The Heart Next Door. And tonight I'm excited to welcome you to episode 2 of the Future of Maternal Health National Roundtable series. As you all know, as you may know, The Heart Next Door is a platform where we exist to put care and community at the fingertips of new and expecting moms. But more importantly, we exist to help to build a world where no mother dies giving life. We are very aware of the maternal mortality crisis. Unfortunately, since we met last month, there was another mom in the headlines, actually, Kira Brokenbraw, who also lost her life giving birth. She left her son behind as well as her husband. And her story is another example of the reason why we do what we do, why conversations like this are so very important. And she's not a statistic, right? She's not a headline. She's the reason that every single one of us showed up tonight and why we are putting on this series for you guys. Because the unfortunate truth is that while we are the most developed country, we have one of the highest maternal mortality rates. But the real problem is when you look at the statistics, nearly 80% of those deaths are preventable. And so that means that systemically we have a lot of work to do. And so that's why we are putting on this series, not only to bring awareness, but also just to have conversations about what does it look like for us to work together and create a solution. And so tonight's topic is very, very special. We are talking about burnout and how burnout is a maternal health crisis and part of the maternal health crisis. And tonight we have some incredible guests and speakers that I'm so excited to welcome because each of them in their own way helps to make sure that women are well and whole and not running on fumes. And so one by one, I'm excited to bring them all to the stage. The first guest that I'm super excited to welcome tonight, our panelist, is Lauren Burke. Lauren is a mental health specialist. She is a licensed therapist, and she is the founder of The Village, a space for healing. Lauren helps women regulate their nervous systems and reconnect with who they are beyond their roles. And her work feels like a deep, deep exhale. So welcome, Lauren. We're so excited to have you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. And our next guest that I'm so excited to welcome, our esteemed panelist, is Michal Renee. She is a critical respiratory therapist with over a decade in the hospital, a board-certified health and wellness coach, and the founder of her Promise Circle. Michal brings faith-integrated wellness frameworks that prevent crisis before it begins. She is also one of the most clinically rigorous and spiritually grounded voices that I know in this space. So, Michal, welcome. We're so excited to have you as well.
Thank you, babe. I'm so happy to be here.
Of course. Thank you so much. And last but not least, we have another phenomenal woman I'm excited to introduce you all to, Ashley Burton Mims. She is a certified postpartum doula and the founder of Emerald and Rose Consulting, where she helps individuals and organizations navigate burnout with research-based strategies and a deep commitment to women and gender-expansive people of color. Her tagline says everything, burn bright and not out. So welcome, Ashley. We're so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course. And so, as I stated earlier, to everyone watching, whether you are a woman running on fumes, whether you're a birth worker, whether you're someone who loves a woman who is doing a little bit too much, right, and who needs to calm down, and just like all of us have been there before, we're all there, right? I'm there fighting that daily, right? So this is exactly the right room, right? Tonight we're here to learn together and grow together. And so I want to just share a quick story about the root of why we're all here for this particular episode. This entire conversation was inspired by a doula in our community in Detroit who made a connection that really stopped me in my tracks. She linked maternal mortality directly to the stress, trauma, and burnout that women carry in our bodies, not just as a feeling, but as a physical reality that shows up as hypertension, heart disease, and the comorbidities that take so many mothers from us. And she said something that so many of us have felt, but we couldn't name. which is we cannot heal mothers in a system that breaks the women who serve them. So from there, I want to start right there and ask this question to all of our panelists. And I'm going to start with Lauren. I want you to take us to really the origin of the work that you do. Tell us the moment that you realized that your own well-being was non-negotiable, and what did burnout teach you?
I had to recognize that I couldn't keep showing up as the strong woman. That was the most important thing, while silently carrying everything, because that strength, it often comes with a disconnection from yourself. I remember going to get a massage, and I couldn't focus on my self-care because I had a million things running through my mind. So burnout taught me that well-being, it was necessary. It's not optional.
I love that. That is so, so, so true. So true. And I'm going to ask the same question to you, Michal. Tell us, what did burnout teach you?
Well, you know a little bit about my story, but in my lowest point of burnout, I am a PK by trade, like grew up that way. But my lowest point of burnout brought me back to God, because I don't even know that I knew him in the way I know him now then, which is probably why I ran. But it brought me back to God and showed me that he was the missing piece. I mean, I was doing the things, the working out, going to therapy. But until I incorporated my spiritual health, I wasn't well. And how can we be well without the one who created us, right? So what I learned in my lowest point was that none of us can do it alone. And that's what brought us into the core message of our community, and knowing not just we can't do it alone with other people, but without God.
I love that. I love that so much. And Ashley, same question for you, love. Tell us, I know you have a story as well.
Yes.
That you just tell us, what did it teach you?
Of course. So one of the biggest things is that I didn't need permission to take care of myself. My story is a little interesting, but I know you all can relate. I was at a place where I couldn't walk. Like, the inflammation in my body was so bad. And I remember walking into a space, and one of the ladies there was like, "Sis, you need to take a leave of absence." And I'm just like, "Why would I do that? I'm fine." She's like, "No, I really think you should." And not only was it was showing up physically for me, I was having panic attacks. It was showing up in my nervous system, emotionally. And I still kept going for actually a few months after that. And then finally, my body was like, "Yeah, so this is way too much." And so for me, it was like having that realization now, like looking back, like I felt like I needed permission to take care of myself, because I saw everyone else doing it. I saw everyone else building and thriving, and I didn't know at what cost. And I also realized, like, systemically, it's set up that way for us to think that we have to keep pushing and grinding and ignoring what's showing up in our body, how our body's responding to us pushing ourselves beyond our breaking point.
Wow, that is so deep, right? We can just stop right there, and I think that's something that we can all relate to. I mean, at least I know on stage you're all nodding our heads, right? Because it's something that's been ingrained in us, right? I was asking the question, like, where did we learn that? Like, why did it become normalized for us to break ourselves to the point where somebody has to tell you need to take time off, right? Like, that's such an interesting topic, and I want to hear from your lens, Lauren, especially as a licensed therapist. Tell us, like, why is this, and how is burnout for moms and the women who serve them? How is it actually a crisis, especially when it comes to maternal health?
Yep, from my lens, burnout happens when women are forced to package their pain. And that pain does not disappear. It shows up as anxiety, depression, irritability, exhaustion, and disconnection. So many of us, we have things going on, and we're so disconnected from our bodies that we just don't know. I could personally speak about that. My iron level was so low, but I was just go, right? So the truth is, this is not a personal failure. It's just the system requires us as women to keep pouring, and we pour from an empty cup just to keep going. And when we try to ask for help, it's like crickets. It's crickets, because true healing happens in community.
Wow. That is that's so true. That's so good, and that's so very relatable. And I want to know from you, Ashley, when you think about purpose in your work, like can you talk a little bit? Because I know you have the honor of wearing like two crowns, right? With your work at Emerald Consulting, but then also as a postpartum doula as well. And so, can you talk about what it looks like in your work? And what are we missing when we talk about this?
A lot of times it's I'm okay because I have to say that I'm okay, or I don't know where to start and it's overwhelming. So a lot of times we'll do, actually I facilitated a workshop yesterday, and that was a lot of people's response was like, I want to incorporate joy into my day and rest into my day, but that feels like such a big undertaking because I don't see anybody around me doing it. I've never done it before. It feels really unattainable. And so a lot of the times that's even for myself, like, where do I start? And so I love that we're having this conversation because we do have similar stories, but we're also practicing what we preach, right? To say, like, it can be done, you can do this, but we do have to start. And again, it's like that permission to start, that permission to say, like, I'm going to do something different. It goes against the grain. It goes against the system. However, like, it's so needed and necessary for our own health and well-being.
Definitely, definitely. I think that's so true. And especially, I find it so interesting that I feel like within this country specifically, it's like a really, really, really big thing, right? Like, I was having a conversation, just like doing this work naturally. I was having a conversation with a midwife who lives in Australia. And just to give you an example of the differences in, I guess, culture and system, she was just telling me how for maternity leave, they get, she said that they get, I believe it's like almost 2 years of maternity leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they get paternity leave as well. The men get off of work as well. And at the end of their leave, they can go back and not worry about if their jobs will still be there, So it's just like very small things like that to me are very indicative of how we're normalized. Like, stress is like a normal thing to us. Like, we're normalized to live in a hyper state of like just doing so much and just like surviving and not thriving. So it's just very interesting, like, to think about that. So thank you so much for pointing that out. And I'm curious, from your lens, Michal, the work that you do, we know that there's a particular weight that women of color carry, right? And women in caregiving roles specifically that are caring for others, that the wellness industry rarely names honestly. And so what patterns do you see, and what do you wish that more people understood?
Well, I'll start at the root that I always tell my girls, and it's, we honored grandma for giving the shirt off her back. We honored grandma for everybody. But nobody honored her when she wanted to sit down and watch a show and, that take a hot bath, go to the doctor, because by the time she was ready to go to the doctor, it was because she had a scare. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't preventative. It wasn't like we were taking care of her, but then we're also distraught because she's sick. And we didn't even realize that she was to that point because none of us are taking care of ourselves preventatively. Mm-hmm. And so it's generational. And so women we esteem to be grandma, we esteem to be the matriarch. Mm-hmm. And the matriarch, she's a woman, she's soft, but she's strong. She doesn't cry. Mm-hmm. How Lauren said, we're programmed to hold on and compartmentalize our pain. And what we see mainly, the root of all the burnout that the girls are going in is emotional dysregulation. None of us, I was so emotionally mature for so long that you're in traffic, you can't even get to your job without freaking out and being angry, right? You're constantly in that state of, like you said, fight or flight. So you're defensive at everything, snapping back at everything, at your kids, at the cars in traffic, at everything. And so we can't have healthy relationships in emotional dysregulation. We don't know how to just take that moment and relax. And even Ashley said, like, when they are resting, their minds are on, okay, how can I take care of tomorrow? The Bible says we got enough trouble for today. So what you worry about tomorrow? Okay. So we don't have that. No one teaches us. I had to learn emotional maturity on my own. And a lot of my burnout was emotional exhaustion. It wasn't even like physically, because I was, like I said, I was working out. But a lot of the things we see is the women they need to be taught how to rest actually in their system, because we're honoring the wrong systems. We're honoring the wrong way to function. So the badge of honor is not how much we can do, how much we can carry, how many roles we play, but the should then be placed on, okay, but how do you feel in doing all of this? So a lot of the things we see is, one of the biggest things we see is the emotional dysregulation and the stress that comes internally and then gets projected outward onto everyone around them. And so taking on that burden and never releasing it. And we honor it. So that's why I love these conversations, because it's like, I mean, obviously there needs to be something in place. And obviously we're trying here at HPC to put that system in place where we're helping women in every place. But what we see mainly is that dysregulation, and we honor it. It's called strength.
I love that. I love that. I love that so much. It's called strength, right? And I think that that's a beautiful thing when you say it like that, because I think that we sometimes have this perception that to say that I'm not okay, to say that I need help, to say that I'm struggling is like a weakness, right? Or like it's something that it makes us feel less than sometimes, or we feel embarrassed or ashamed. There are all these associations that come with it, but I think that's beautiful to label it and say that no, like it's okay, right? It's okay. That makes you human. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human, and we need to honor ourselves in that way. So thank you so much for naming that. And you said something that really made me think about you, Ashley, and the work that you do. She talked specifically about rest, and I know that in your work there is I remember there was a book that you always reference. It's about rest. And also, can you share that with us, as well as for the moms who are watching tonight, who are running on fumes, right? For the women, everybody who's watching, we talked about the problem. Everybody knows we're burnout, we're stressed, right? So what is one tangible shift that they can make this week that doesn't require more time, more money, or more energy that they don't have?
Yes, I love this question. The book is Rest is Resistance by Tricia Hersey. But I have a lot of other, I'll put them in the chat after the call. There's a few other books that I'd recommend as well, but that's kind of like the beginning. I think I read that maybe like 3 years ago, and it was like a mind-blown emoji for me. Because a lot of the things she talks about, I'm like, okay, yes. But what I also like to reference are the 7 types of rest by Dr. Sandra Jolton Smith. So that is one thing that I would love for people to look into a little bit more, because there are 7 different types of rest. I know for me, I struggled a long time with people saying, oh, you should rest. And I'm like, I don't want to take a nap. Naps don't feel natural to me. They actually feel like my brain doesn't shut down enough for a nap to be pleasant. But maybe I needed physical rest, which could look like going for a walk in nature. Maybe I needed spiritual or creative rest. Maybe the adult coloring books. Maybe I needed rest, social rest. So rest from the energy vampires in the world. I could have needed a different type of rest, but because society kind of makes it so that rest looks very like one-dimensional, it's hard to understand, and we aren't taught that rest could look so many different ways. And it is a very unique thing to us. So that's what I'd recommend. Folks taking the time to look into the different types of rest that there are 7, and starting to understand which one aligns for what they need right now.
Wow, that's beautiful. And so within the book, how would one know like what type of rest is right for them, right? Is it just a matter of, because it just a matter of,
yes. So I love this question, and you're like peeking on like some technology that I have coming out soon. So to do just that, to identify what type of rest we need. But in the meantime, I would direct people to the 7 different types of rest by Sandra Dalton Smith, and she goes over and gives examples about the different types of rest. The book is a lot more expansive. It talks more about like systemic factors of why rest didn't feel safe for us, especially as Black women, why we're showing up the way we do. And it's very, very, I would say, eye-opening for things that we normalize. So like Michal was talking about, like that our grandma was strong and we idolized her, but her strength really was like beating her down physically, taking years off of her life because she wasn't physically able to take care of herself and be preventative. So the book goes into a lot more depth than that. And then she has like a second book that's more of like a journal and reflective style that's called We Will Rest. I have it somewhere. I have it. I just got back from facilitating, so it's packed up. It's normally right next to me, so I could show people what the covers look like. But those are 2 off the top of my head for sure that I would recommend. But those are things that are attainable as well. Just we haven't been taught that they are, so taking the time to look into that, I think, would be great. I know for me, social rest is what I need for the remainder of the week after facilitating and being on this podcast tonight, which is amazing. But it does take energy, right, for us to show up as our authentic selves. And I'm more of like an ambivert. So like my social batteries like dwindling, right? But I know that because I've taken the time to do the research on the different types of rest that I need. So I have things set up for me this week to recharge my social battery.
For sure. I love that. Yes, we are both ambiverts in that way, right? I always tell people I'm an extrovert and introvert. I like to socialize, but then I enjoy my quiet time, right? And that's good. And I'm going to ask you, Lauren, as well as you, Michal, just to name, because I know she actually gave us a perspective of somebody that does work with women on that lens from the burning out and referring the book. But if you could just name like one tangible thing that you would recommend, like maybe that you recommend with your clients that you work with, Lauren, what's one shift that they can make right now that doesn't require more time, money, or more energy?
Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission. A lot of women don't, and when they finally do, they feel guilty. So the shift is not doing more. It's just allowing yourself to be without feeling guilty.
I love that. Simple and right? And what about you, Michal? What do you tell your girls?
We do this little exercise for self-awareness, and I'll ask them like, so when's the last time you were like stressed out? Was it the time in traffic? Was it the kids? You snapped at them and now you feel bad that you snapped at them? Like, what was it? And they'll tell me, and I'll be like, well, what did you need in that moment? And they'll say, could have used someone telling me I did a good job, or that I needed a hug, or, whatever. And I'll say, did you give that to yourself? And most of them say, no, I pushed through it. I told myself I was a bad mom because I shouldn't have yelled at them. I tell myself, they're not doing anything that they know that they actually needed for themselves. And so when we do our promise practice, is what it's called. It's our emotional regulation and nervous system regulation coaching. And I walk them through this exercise because I'm like, you know what you need. And then I ask them, if your friend needed it, would you give it to them? And they always say they would go over and above what they actually would have given themselves for the friend. And I'm like, So we work on that. It's just a little mindset shift of, okay, I know what I need in this moment. Now I need to give it to me instead of push through it, do what you normally would. And it takes time. It takes practice. Like Lauren said, give yourself permission and give yourself grace. But if you continue to practice that, you will do it on autopilot, where it's like, oh, okay, come in here. I'm angry right now, but I'm not really angry at this traffic. I just need a hug. So call your friend, call your mom, whoever relaxes you, girl, whoever it is, and give yourself that in that moment. And I think if we just continue to give ourselves what we need in the moment, it really makes a huge difference of your day.
For sure. Wow, that is so true. And I love that you said something that's so true. Like, we treat other people better than we treat ourselves. We talk to other people like language, and we talk to ourselves. Like,
it is.
It's the craziest thing, right? Like, and you would be upset if somebody were to treat, like, talk about me the way that I talk to myself sometimes in my head. I would be so upset. I would be so offended. But it's, when it comes to us, and for whatever reason, we don't give ourselves that same grace. So I think that's beautiful advice. Thank you so much. And Lauren, I want to come back to you for this one because a lot of the women in our community are like doulas, midwives, lactation consultants, therapists, birth workers. And so could you give some recommendations, especially maybe that have worked for you as a therapist, about people who have built a life serving other women or serving other people? How can they build practices that sustain them instead of, taking their energy away?
Okay. A sustainable practice means you're not constantly pouring from empty. So I really believe in a parallel process. So when we're not leaning into ourselves and our own self-care, then our clients are feeling that. And because the system will have you neglecting yourself or running an E, so you'll be serving and giving and showing up without any support. So being rooted means to honor yourself, and your nervous system. I always talk to my clients about how we give more regards for our cell phones than we do ourselves. Me included. So we got to do better. Not just being in this role of a birth worker or a mental health therapist or a doula, but to really lean into yourself and make sure you are leaning into your self-care and regulating yourself before you show up.
I love that. As simple as that, I think that's the first advice that I got when I became a mom, actually, is you can't pour from an empty cup. And of course, people give you advice and you listen to it, but it doesn't really hit until you're running on E and you have other people who are dependent on you. And I think that motherhood is very interesting in that way, because my daughter, my 1-year-old, is not going to tell me, Mom, you need to take a break. Mom, you need to rest. She's not going to stop putting demands on me, right? So if I don't, have the foresight to do it for myself, if we don't, as moms and as women, if we don't set those boundaries, then nobody's going to set them for us. And we can't be upset when they don't, right? Because that's our responsibility. So, yes, thank you so much for naming that. And Ashley, I want to ask you about this. I know there are different approaches that you use in your work to help support women and help support moms, especially even from the postpartum doula perspective. You can speak to this, but I know each of your approaches work differently with the same North Star. And what does the integration of all of the practices that you use, like how have you thoughtfully curated them, and what do you think that they look like in the future for the future of maternal health?
Well, I love this question. Right now, we do more preventative and educational services that are empowering. But one of the approaches that I think is the most impactful is somatics, because it works with what's going on in our body. We can go to talk therapy all we want, but some things literally just live in our body, and somatics really helps to combat that and to address it. We just recently had an event where we did sound healing and yoga, but yoga not like for like a workout, but truly like slowly moving our bodies. And the impact for all of the women were excuse me, that were there was incredible. And so that's what I feel like the future is, and like what we're starting to hear more about and see more and more accessibility. Because we didn't talk about it. The kind of the elephant in the room is the accessibility to wellness and it not looking like it's just for yoga pants wearing, wealthy white woman. That we truly need this as Black and Brown folks in the community more than ever. So really starting to incorporate somatics into our practices, I think is going to be such an incredible game changer. And it's something that is accessible. I think it's just helping folks understand how accessible it truly is.
For sure, I love that. And for the people, let's say a mom who doesn't necessarily know even like what somatic means, like or what somatic is, or doesn't even necessarily like know where they can go to access classes like that. Like what would you say for them? Could you break somatics a little bit?
Yeah, so I will do my best for my Ashley definition to break it down. And Lauren and Michal, please jump in if you want to add on to it. But it really is more like energetically how like energy is stored in our body. And so for me, I know it was a little bit harder to access at first just because it felt really unfamiliar. So think of things like doing breath work or sound healing, things that really slow down and tap more into our nervous system. As far as like your question was about where they can find resources.
Well, not necessarily where they can find resources, but you talked about the accessibility piece, right? You said it may not be accessible to everyone. So what are some things that they can do at home if they don't have like a class or I think you mentioned like yoga and movement. That's a good thing, right? That's pretty accessible to everybody.
So for me, like I personally watch a lot of YouTube videos. So that's been the best place for me to recommend people to go as well. There are a lot of really good somatic healers on there. That would be where I would recommend first.
Yeah, for sure. Does anybody else have any other recommendations? I know for me, there's an app that I use. I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it has different meditations and whatnot that have been very helpful for me.
There's one that I use as well. Thank you for that reminder. Insight Timer. I love that one. And there's also I've actually used it for sleeping. That's been really impactful, but they do have meditations and guided meditations on there as well.
Love that. Love that. Okay. And then this next question, I'm going to ask everybody this one, starting with you, Lauren. And I'm curious if we built a maternal health ecosystem where mothers were thriving and the women that are serving them were too, what do you think would change about birth outcomes in the United States?
We wouldn't see mothers carrying life while disconnected from themselves. I think that's the major thing. We'll see women who feel safe, women who feel supported, and they wouldn't look at being regulated or soft as a weakness. Women who are able to show up whole, not just functioning, and not running on fumes.
Yes, I love that, Lauren. And you touched on something so beautiful that it reminded me of we had a podcast episode where there was a therapist that came, and I think you and I talked about this too, but the mental health component of how that affects moms specifically, especially during postpartum, is something that is so I just don't think we talk enough about it or normalize it enough because your body's changing in so many different ways. And like you said, you named it very purely, like women being disconnected from their babies, right? So could you just break that down a little bit? Because I think that's a really important piece for us to hear from you, especially as a therapist. How do you think that moms are being affected mentally? Like, what do you see some things that moms struggle with, especially postpartum? And what are some things that you recommend to help them through it?
I always tell people the way I end up working in this field is after I had my daughter. And I thought I knew it all, and I didn't. And I had my daughter, and I said, "Ooh, that was the most vulnerable thing I've ever done in my life," right? And I said, "But what about the women that this doesn't happen for?" And what I was describing was attachment, And I'm like, if you're worried about how I'm going to pay my rent and my bills, or I'm worried, or I'm having relationship trouble, how can I see my child? How can I thoroughly put my child front row and center? And so the first thing I would say is awareness. I got to have awareness, something is going on. And then the ability to ask for help. I tell every single client I have, do you journal? Do you journal? And most people don't. But I'm really happy when I have the ones that do. that do. I'm really happy about it. So just awareness. And then knowing that, for your baby, you have to be bigger, stronger, and wiser. But in order to do that, you have to take care of yourself first.
Yes. I love that. And I especially love that you named that journaling piece, because that was a lifesaver for me, for sure. And has continued to be. And I remember after I had my son, and I won't say that I was going through postpartum per se. It wasn't very heavy, but I was going through a lot, just adjusting. And he said something so beautiful to me that I'll never forget. He asked me, because I was just really just out of it, and he was like, what's the one thing that makes you come alive? And I told him that for me, it's always been writing, because writing has always been like an outlet for me, And but I told him I hadn't written in a long time. I hadn't journaled in a long time at that point, because I was just so consumed with motherhood. And he said something I'll never forget. He said, if writing is your breath, you have to breathe. It was like, what would happen if you tried to go through your day and you held your breath and for the life of you, like you never let go, you never exhale. He said you would stop living, you would stop breathing. And that's what happens to us when we don't do the things that make us come alive, right? When we don't have those outlets that we can lean into. So I think that's so beautiful that you named that. And if I can't recommend it enough or encourage it enough, because literally journaling is what helped me heal from my daughter's birth, as traumatic as it was. So thank you so much for lifting that up, because I think that's something that we all have access to, right? We all can do, if we just lean into it. So thank you. And so same question for you, Michal. What do you think? If we were building a maternal health ecosystem where mothers were thriving and the women serving them were too, what do you think would change about birth outcomes?
I believe that just that support being around, and like how people say it takes a village. Lauren, isn't your thing called Village? Like, I love that, because it's just like, what better way to state that? And I don't think one single household has the effect on a child's life as everyone being involved does. And so if we're all able to pour from not an empty cup, but also overflow, then we're not just building healthier households, healthier outcomes. Sorry, I don't know why I can't talk right now. But also communities thriving from that. It's like the household is like the root, and then you've got like the communities that are built from the households that extend, etc. But I believe that if we were balanced and whole as women, taking care of the women who are having the children, we pass this off. As I said in the beginning, it's generationally learned that we're putting that badge of honor on stress, on putting everyone above us. And I know a lot of that affects the birth outcomes now, is not just the health aspect, but our emotional health and the burdens and the environmental stressors. But if we're building a total ecosystem where every woman is happy, healthy, and whole, then it can only be better for everyone involved.
Definitely. So beautiful, so beautifully said and perfectly said. Thank you so much. Ashley, same question for you.
Yes, I love this question. And my answer is going to be pretty similar. So the importance of being in community. We actually weren't meant to live in apartments or homes away from our families. We were meant to be intergenerational, because say your sister had a baby last year, she can help you when you're trying to nurse and you can't figure this out. Or your neighbor even had a baby 2 years ago. And so you're all sharing the who's up with the baby at night, who's checking on mom, who's cooking. Like, we've gotten so far away from truly living and being in community that we're in this space that we're in today, where maternal health is high. I always say this wrong, but post. So in our postpartum time period, those mental health disorders are also extremely high. And it's such a lonely and isolating time during that postpartum time period because of that. And it's actually extremely heartbreaking. And one of the reasons I became a postpartum doula, because I know for myself, I was in a big city alone, just figuring it out. None of my friends had kids, my neighbors didn't. And it was just me and my baby and her dad. And so it's so important for us to really be in community and have community around us, and also to advocate for us. A lot of the things that we're going through with our maternal health, we lack someone to advocate on our behalf. Hey, I just had a baby. Just because I had a baby doesn't mean I know everything. But if I have someone like a doula, like a postpartum doula, or a therapist even, who recognizes the signs that something's wrong, that I need support, and can advocate on my behalf, the outcomes would be so much more different. So it's something, I could talk about this all day, every day, because I am really passionate about it. But also I've seen the impact that it not only has had on me, but on my loved ones, and my friends and family and my extended community as well.
I love that. Advocacy and community. That's like it's huge, right? Like that's literally what it's all about. And I know so many moms, myself included, who have benefited greatly from having doulas, and I'm always so surprised when people still to this day, there's a lot of moms that don't even know what doulas are, especially postpartum doulas, which to me are a lifesaver, right? When you think about, again, like similar to you, Ashley, this, I was in a new city, right, with no family, right? And so it's critical because, like you said, we're not supposed to do this alone. We're not supposed to raise kids alone. We're not supposed to, be alone. We're meant to live in community and do life together. And I think it's so important that we get back to that. And I think, Michal, too, you said something so beautiful around the fact that, like, when we take care of moms, when moms are thriving, that's like the centerpiece of everything, really, right? We have thriving moms, we have thriving families, thriving communities, and a thriving, like a thriving society. So that's why this work is so important. The work that you guys do is so important. And we're just like tremendously grateful for you. And as we start to come to a close, I would love to give each of you an opportunity to just share more about the work that you do, how people can get in contact with you, and then also if there's anything exciting that you want to share. Start with you, Lauren.
So how you get in touch with me is thevillagespace.net. And you can just call me up and we can schedule an appointment and go from there. Something exciting is if you are looking for resources, you can always look my name up, Lauren Burke. I have several books to help mom on Amazon. My most recent one, I'm going to show it off, is about my son.
Oh,
so this is my most recent book, and I launched this on my birthday, which was April 14th, and it's about just my son Jordan, who's on a spectrum. So I am a mother of a son who's on a spectrum, and just building that village for him.
I love that so much. Yes, Lauren, we've connected about that because I think it's so funny that you and I both wrote books about a little boy on the spectrum as well. So I love that so much, and that is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Michal, what about you? Tell everybody more about you. Also, just because we are going national, Lauren, you're based in Detroit, right? But do you just serve clients in Michigan, or anybody can reach out to you?
All over Michigan.
Okay, all over Michigan. And Michal, I know you're not in Michigan. Tell us where you are, how people can connect with you, and what you're excited about.
Yeah, I was like, make me go last because I have a lot to say. So sorry, I'm gonna try my best. So first and foremost, so you can listen to the Her Promise Circle podcast. It's currently the top 3% globally right now. I combine faith, mental, emotional, and spiritual health, which is how we built the framework for Her Promise Circle. So Her Promise Circle is a nonprofit wellness center. It's sort of unprecedented. I don't really know many, but that's because our mission is health equity and access. So when you said that, Ashley and Tierney, I was like, so we are every woman that we're able to serve through what we do here. It allows us to do community public health initiatives that remain free and open for those who are underserved. The city I currently live in, the county I live in, DeKalb County, is over 80% African American. So, and a lot of them are in impoverished areas. And so it's a huge deal. The maternal birth rate outcomes have been progressively worsening here. Mothers dying in childbirth, and then also just cardiovascular disease is our number one killer for Black women here. And so it's obviously working bedside critical care. It's like a huge thing for me to make sure that our people are not just getting better when they get scared because grandma passed. That's why I said that, because that's what happened to me in my own life and what I see at bedside. So we're launching Promise Access, which is our virtual wellness app. Essentially, women will have their own wellness team and weekly programming for basically the price of a gym membership, all in one place. So you'll get spiritual mentorship bi-weekly. You'll get Promise Practice with me, the emotional and nervous system regulation coaching once a week. You'll get we have a book club where it's like, stop doing the podcast and the self-help books and you're not applying it. Okay, we're all going to sit down and read and actually apply everything that we're reading. And then also you get a weekly group fitness class with our maternal fitness coach. So she's actually a pre and postnatal coach as well. So she adapts movements for pregnant moms as well as moms who are about to give birth or want to prepare, or postnatal. We also have the live secure messaging. So right in the app, they can just access each of us during our office hours. So when they're ready to feel like they're going to fall off or they need questions, they can access us there. And lastly, there's an on-demand library. So Christian meditation, breath work, stretching with me, but also fitness, replays, etc., all in one app. So that launches May 18th, and we partner with DeKalb Public Health, for example. We partner with healthcare places, clinics, etc., and offer our app for those who have women who need it. They'll oftentimes sponsor women to come in and access all that. And what we are is a high touch point in between clinical visits. So, sorry, try to make that fast as possible. But it's been really amazing to be the person who, the issue is consistency, right? So it's just, we know we need to work out more. We know we need this coaching. We can't afford the coaching. Okay, where do I go for this? So we've put everything in one place and we've seen some really amazing outcomes, exciting things. Okay. We are doing a case study on heart failure holistic initiatives for Constellation Quality Health. It is on Thursday. I'll be presenting it. If you guys could tune in, that would be great. I think it's at noon. We'll be doing it next to Piedmont Women's Heart Health Group, just to show what we've done here and how it's improved heart health outcomes for our women who are African American and caregivers. She's also a mother. And then May 16th is our HPC weekend. We do that quarterly. So the girls are national. Since my podcast is national, they're able to fly in and meet each other a lot for the first time because they're able to see each other through our weekly programming, etc., that we do now. So they come in and we meet our partners and have a little speech, have a little time, have a little networking. So that is quarterly. And then bi-monthly, we do co-working events as well through our partnership at Condessa Coffee. I'm done. Okay.
Okay, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. herpromisecircle.org is our website. My personal website is Michal Renee. I'm available for all of the things. At Michal.Renee is my Instagram, and Her Promise Circle is our Instagram. The podcast is just the Her Promise Circle podcast. It pops up on everywhere you can get your podcast streamed. And trust me, we're not hard to find. I'm in your face. TikTok, Her Promise Circle. It'll pop up. But yeah, all the information are linked in all the bios of the Instagram and TikTok, as well as on our website. You can find everything there. So if you're interested in partnering, if you need our services, if you'd want to do a community wellness initiatives, just reach out to us. We have several forms, and yeah, I think that's everything.
Yeah. Listen, I already told you the next time I'm in Atlanta, I will definitely.
You absolutely have to go.
Yes, and
we found a fitness class earlier in the day, and actually DCAP Public Health is going to do wellness checks for the community there while we're there. So hopefully we can do it again if you can't make it to this one, but we're excited about this one that's coming up.
Yes, it's super exciting. The app especially, and guys, she really is everywhere, because I literally
y'all be sick of me.
I was telling her it was so divine. I was looking for one last speaker for this panel, and I just happened to log onto Instagram, and she was going live, and she was just preaching about yeah, so that's beautiful. And last but definitely not least, Ashley, tell everybody about everything that you offer and what you're excited about and where they can connect with you.
Sure. Let's see. Stay connected with me on Instagram at burn.bright.not.out. Also on LinkedIn. I also have a newsletter that you could sign up for. It's probably easiest to do it from the bio from Instagram. What else do I have going on? A couple things. One is like hot off the presses. I will be speaking actually in Atlanta for Black Mamas Matter. I know, Alliance.
Oh my God! I'm sorry, I got excited.
for their Black Maternal Health Conference this September. So stay tuned. There's more about that on my socials as that starts approaching. So very, very excited about that. We have a couple of different events over the course of the summer and fall. So definitely stay tuned to Instagram, LinkedIn, or my newsletter for that. I also am adding to my all platforms an interest like sign up page for workshops. So I mainly do community-based workshops. I partner with several different organizations. I'm based here in Detroit, Michigan, but I go pretty much everywhere. So this year, like I said, I'll be in Atlanta, Dallas, New York, Columbus, Ohio. So a few places, just a few. So that I do love the beauty of this work that I am able to do it anywhere, including virtually. So I do have an opportunity there to sign up to set up like a quick consultation so we can plan workshops together as well. So the main themes for my workshops this year are the 7 different types of rest, if you didn't notice that earlier, and the Black Superwoman schema. But we also do a lot of work around joy and how to incorporate joy into our lives and what joy looks like joy versus happiness. So those are kind of like the big tenets that we're focused on for this year. And I know that you all understand when I say we, I mean collective we as a solopreneur that wears all the hats. So.
I need to get y'all assistance. I need y'all to stop saying that.
Yes.
I don't know how I could never. Come on. Email me at
that.
No burnout.
No, exactly. No burnout. For this last event that I did hire one of my really good friends, and she did an amazing job with that. So I'm with you. It's coming. It's literally like right here.
Yes, for sure. Definitely. Same here. And for me too, I feel like at first it was like there was almost this fear of like people are not going to do it the right, again, that the burning out, me trying to be superwoman. So yes, I hear you and I receive that. And yes, Ashley is amazing. Her workshops are amazing. I've been and enjoyed bubble parties and all the things that help you rest and find joy. So
when you're here, please tell me so I
will.
Here comes to me. So,
yes.
Put on your camera.
I'm coming.
Right. Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. I am just so grateful for all of you guys. You all are blessings in your own way, not just to me, but to the communities of women that you serve. And just so grateful to you guys for just coming in this space, sharing it with us, helping us to affirm that we don't have to be superwoman. It's okay to put down the cape, because the true strength is in rest and is in care and is in, community and is in getting support. So thank you so much for normalizing that and for naming that. And I would like to share. Well, first, let me see. Okay, first I'll give you guys a little blurb about the Heart Next Door, so you guys are just familiar with it. So everybody who's joining, we have an app. Basically, the Heart Next Door is a digital doula that puts care and community at the fingertips of new and expecting moms, while equipping the providers that serve them with the data needed to improve maternal health outcomes. And so the Heart Next Door app for moms, just so you know, it's always free. It's a space built specifically for you, with your digital doula, Nia, who gives you check-ins, community, and connection to have care between the appointments, because we know that that's when the maternal risk accumulates, right? When warning signs are missed and moms are left to manage on their own. Because you deserve support that doesn't end when you leave the doctor's office. So you can download the app or visit heartnextdoor.com and join all the mothers in our community who are no longer navigating this alone. And if you are a birth worker, clinician, advocate, or leader in the room, our Maternal Changemakers community was built for you as well. It is a global vetted space where the most committed people in maternal health connect, collaborate, and help shape what comes next, including the app and this movement. So I encourage you guys to visit heartnextdoor.com to learn all about that, and you can connect with me as well at Heart Next Door on Instagram, everywhere really, and LinkedIn as well. And before we sign off, I would love just for us to everybody to go around and just finish this quick statement. It'll be just like a fire. What do you call that when everybody does a fire round, like real quick? So the sentence that everybody should finish is: the future of maternal health is. Okay, with your, could be one word or phrase. Let me give you a few seconds to think. Ready?
No.
Oh my God.
I was like, yeah, I know. Like, I don't know. And let Lauren answer.
Okay, Lauren.
You were like, you were sure. You were like, yeah. I'm like, oh.
Look, confidence is portrayed on the outside.
Okay, girl. I wasn't going to fake it. I couldn't fake it this time. Okay.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Yes, Lauren.
Okay. The future of maternal mental health is regulation.
That's good. Ashley?
I can't hear you, Ash.
I would say community.
That's a good one.
I love that. And Michal?
I would say holistic, because it really is every single, it's all the parts. It's all the community, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. It's all of that. It has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be. I love that.
That's why we're all needed. I mean, we need all of it.
Yes. Well, there you have it, everyone. The future of maternal health is here. It's alive, and we're building it together. And we're just so grateful for all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to our incredible panelists who are doing such amazing work. Please connect with them. And we're just so grateful for you guys. We will see you all next month. The last Tuesday of every month, we'll be coming together for this series with a new line of speakers, with a new topic, but all related to the future of maternal health. So thank you again for sharing space with us. Enjoy the rest of your week, and goodbye.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, ladies.
Bye, guys.